The Council's declaration, the Galactic Council, an interstellar body comprised of the most powerful species across the known universe, was known for its calculated diplomacy and the maintenance of peace. They ruled over thousands of planets, each contributing to a vast and intricate web of alliances, treaties, and mutual understandings. War, they often said, was a relic of a less civilized era, an age they believed only the primitive species, like the humans of Earth, still romanticized. Earth was a backwater planet, tucked away in a distant corner of the galaxy. Its inhabitants were relatively new to the cosmic stage, having only made contact with other species a century prior. Despite their technological advancements, the humans remained a curiosity to the Council, a species defined by its chaotic history of warfare and violence. The Council, in its infinite wisdom, deemed Earth to be too dangerous to engage in any serious manner. They feared that bringing humans into the fold would introduce a level of unpredictability that could destabilize the delicate peace they had worked so hard to maintain. It was during a routine meeting of the Galactic Council that the subject of Earth was once again brought to the table. The discussion was sparked by a series of minor skirmishes on the edges of human space, encounters with pirate fleets and rogue planets that had somehow escaped the Council's notice. These incidents, while insignificant in the grand scheme of things, had drawn the attention of several key Council members who believed it was time to address the human problem, once and for all. "They are a volatile species," said High Chancellor Zelko, a reptilian being with a voice that hissed with every syllable. "Their history is riddled with conflict. They worship war as if it were a god." "Indeed," agreed Ambassador Lyra, a representative of the aquatic Thalassians. Her voice bubbled through the communication channel, calm yet insistent. "They are too unpredictable. We cannot allow them to continue unchecked. Their presence in the galaxy is a threat to our peace." The debate continued for hours, with each species weighing in on the matter. The general consensus was clear. Humans were dangerous. But the question remained, what should be done about them? It was then that High Strategist Solvok, a towering figure of the warlike Relaxians, made a suggestion that silenced the room. "If they are so enamored with war," he rumbled, "then let us show them the true cost of it. Let us declare war on Earth and bring them to heel. Only then will they understand that the galaxy has no place for their barbarism." The proposal was met with a mixture of shock and approval. Some members recoiled at the idea of war, even against a species as violent as humans. Others saw it as a necessary evil, a way to teach Earth a lesson and protect the galaxy from their potential wrath. After much deliberation, the Council voted in favor of the motion. War was declared on Earth, effective immediately. The decision was broadcast across the galaxy, a stern warning to humanity that their time of unchecked aggression was over. The message was clear: surrender and be brought into the fold, or resist and face annihilation. The Council believed that humans, faced with such overwhelming odds, would choose the former. But they were wrong. On Earth, the news of the Galactic Council's declaration of war was met with a mix of disbelief and anger. Governments scrambled to make sense of the situation, and the general populace was gripped by fear. How could they possibly stand against the might of the galaxy's most powerful species? The answer came from an unexpected quarter, an old veteran named General Marcus Hale. Hale had served in the Terran armed forces for decades, witnessing humanity's most brutal conflicts. He was a man who had seen the horrors of war firsthand and had dedicated his life to ensuring that such devastation would never again befall his people. Yet, when he heard the Council's message, something inside him stirred. A deep, primal instinct that had been dormant for far too long. "Afraid of war," he muttered, his voice low and gravelly. "They think we're afraid of war." That night, General Hale made a decision that would change the course of human history. He gathered a group of trusted allies, soldiers, strategists, and diplomats, and laid out a plan. It was a plan born not out of fear, but out of a fierce determination to protect Earth from those who sought to destroy it. Hale knew that the odds were against them, but he also knew something the Council did not. Humans were survivors. They had faced extinction before, and each time, they had emerged stronger. "We'll show them," Hale said, his voice filled with a quiet resolve. "We'll show them what it means to wage war against humanity." The Council had underestimated humanity. They had assumed that fear would drive them to surrender. But as the first wave of alien ships entered Earth's orbit, they would soon learn that humans were not afraid of war, they thrived in it. And so the battle for Earth began. The first strike. The Galactic Council had unleashed its fleet upon Earth, a show of force intended to terrify humanity into submission. Hundreds of warships, bristling with advanced weaponry, descended upon the planet's orbit. The Council's commanders expected little resistance, believing that the mere sight of their armada would be enough to break the human spirit. But as they soon realized, they had gravely underestimated their adversary. General Marcus Hale had anticipated the attack. Using his deep knowledge of both human and alien tactics, he devised a strategy that was as audacious as it was dangerous. He knew that the only way to survive the onslaught was to hit the enemy where it hurt the most: their arrogance. The initial assault was a brutal one. The skies over Earth were lit with the fiery trails of missiles and laser fire as the Council's fleet began their bombardment. Cities shook under the barrage, and panic spread among the populace. But beneath the chaos, Hale's plan was already in motion. In secret, Earth's finest engineers and scientists had been working around the clock, repurposing old defense satellites and retrofitting them with new experimental weaponry. These satellites, once relics of a bygone era of human warfare, were now humanity's first line of defense. Dubbed the Guardians, they were strategically positioned around the planet, hidden from enemy sensors until the moment they were needed. As the alien fleet closed in, Hale gave the order. The Guardians came to life, firing beams of concentrated energy that sliced through the vacuum of space. The Council's ships, caught off guard by the sudden counterattack, scrambled to react. But it was too late. Several ships were destroyed in the first volley, their debris raining down upon the Earth like burning meteors. The Council commanders were shocked. They had expected a quick victory, but now they found themselves facing a determined and resourceful enemy. For the first time, they realized that this war would not be as easy as they had believed. In the chaos of the battle, a small strike team of elite human soldiers was deployed to the surface of one of the Council's capital ships. Led by Captain Sarah Walker, a decorated officer with a reputation for her unorthodox tactics, the team had one mission: to disable the ship's main weapon systems and buy Earth more time. Walker and her team were the best of the best, handpicked by General Hale himself. They had trained for this mission for weeks, knowing that failure was not an option. As they breached the hull of the massive alien vessel, they encountered fierce resistance. The corridors of the ship were a labyrinth of sleek, alien technology, patrolled by heavily armed guards. But Walker's team moved with precision and efficiency, cutting down enemies and hacking through security systems with practiced ease. They made their way to the ship's central reactor, where the main weapons were powered. There, Walker planted a series of explosive charges, set to detonate in sequence. As they prepared to make their escape, the team was confronted by the ship's commander, a towering alien warrior clad in ornate armor. A fierce battle ensued, with Walker and her team fighting for their lives. The alien commander was a formidable opponent, his strength and speed far beyond that of a human. But Walker was relentless, using every trick in the book to outmaneuver him. In the end, it was her cunning that won the day. She lured the commander into a trap, where she managed to detonate one of the charges early, engulfing him in a fiery explosion. With the ship's weapons disabled, Walker and her team made their escape, leaving the vessel crippled and vulnerable to further attacks from Earth's forces. The success of the mission was a turning point in the battle, giving humanity a much-needed boost in morale. Back on Earth, the Council's fleet was in disarray. The unexpected resistance had thrown their plans into chaos, and their commanders were forced to reconsider their approach. But the Council was not ready to back down. They had underestimated humanity once, but they would not make the same mistake again. As the battle raged on, General Hale knew that this was only the beginning. The war had started, and there was no turning back. But he also knew that humanity had one thing the Council did not: an unbreakable spirit. They would fight to the last man, woman, and child if necessary, because this was their home, and they would not let anyone take it from them. "We're just getting started," Hale said, watching the battle unfold on the tactical displays. "Let's show them what we're really made of." The war for Earth had begun in earnest, and the Galactic Council was about to learn a harsh lesson. When pushed to the brink, humans were not just survivors, they were warriors. The resistance rises. The war had entered a new phase. The initial shock of the Galactic Council's declaration had worn off, and in its place was a steely resolve that spread like wildfire across Earth. The human spirit, tempered by millennia of conflict and survival against impossible odds, had awakened. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a battle for the very soul of humanity. Across the globe, nations put aside their differences, uniting under a single banner: the Terran Defense Coalition. Governments mobilized their armed forces, while civilians volunteered in droves to support the war effort. Factories that once produced consumer goods were repurposed to churn out weapons, ammunition, and military vehicles. Engineers, scientists, and tacticians worked around the clock, innovating new technologies to level the playing field against the superior alien forces. But it wasn't just the military that was fighting back. Resistance cells began to spring up in cities, towns, and villages across the planet. These groups, composed of ordinary citizens, used guerrilla tactics to disrupt the enemy's operations, sabotage supply lines, and gather intelligence on the alien forces. The human resistance was a decentralized network of fighters, each cell operating independently but united by a common goal: to drive the invaders from their world. One such resistance cell operated out of the ruins of New York City, a once great metropolis that had been devastated in the opening salvo of the Council's attack. Led by a former police officer named Elena Martinez, the New York Resistance had quickly become one of the most effective and feared groups in the war. They used the city's vast underground subway system as their base of operations, striking from the shadows and then vanishing before the enemy could retaliate. Elena was a natural leader, hardened by the loss of her family in the initial bombardment. Her tactical brilliance and unwavering determination had earned her the respect of her fellow fighters, who followed her without question. Under her leadership, the New York Resistance had pulled off a series of daring raids against the alien occupiers, capturing valuable supplies and dealing heavy blows to the enemy. But Elena knew that the Resistance couldn't win the war alone. They needed to coordinate with a larger military effort if they were to have any hope of defeating the Council's forces. To that end, she had established a secure line of communication with General Marcus Hale, who had taken command of the global defense effort. The two leaders had developed a mutual respect for one another, each recognizing the other's strengths and understanding the importance of working together. "General Hale, we've managed to intercept a communication between the Council's fleet and their ground forces," Elena reported during one of their clandestine meetings. "They're planning a major offensive in the next 48 hours. They're going to hit us with everything they've got." Hale, his face etched with the fatigue of constant battle, nodded grimly. "We've been expecting this. They've been regrouping since we crippled their flagship. They're looking to break our resistance before it gains any more momentum." "What are your orders, General?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We need to strike first," Hale replied. "If we can disrupt their offensive before it starts, we might be able to turn the tide. I'll coordinate with our forces in orbit to launch a preemptive strike on their staging grounds. In the meantime, I need you to lead a ground assault on their main command post. If we can take out their leadership, it will throw their entire operation into chaos." Elena nodded. "Consider it done." The next 24 hours were a blow of preparation. The New York resistance gathered every able-bodied fighter they could muster, arming themselves with whatever weapons they could find: rifles, explosives, even makeshift melee weapons. They knew this would be their most dangerous mission yet, but there was no hesitation. This was their city, their home, and they would defend it with everything they had. As dawn broke over the shattered skyline of New York, Elena and her team moved out, navigating the ruined streets with practiced ease. The alien command post was located in what had once been Central Park, now a fortified stronghold bristling with alien defenses. The resistance fighters moved silently through the debris, using the cover of the early morning shadows to avoid detection. When they were in position, Elena gave the signal. The attack began with a series of explosions, as resistance sappers detonated charges beneath key enemy fortifications. The sudden chaos sent the alien troops into disarray, and the resistance fighters surged forward, engaging the enemy in brutal close-quarters combat. Elena fought at the front of her group, her every move precise and calculated. She was a force of nature, a whirlwind of destruction that left a trail of fallen enemies in her wake. The alien soldiers, for all their advanced technology and training, were unprepared for the sheer ferocity of the human attack. The resistance pressed their advantage, driving the enemy back toward their command center. But the battle was far from over. As the humans breached the final line of defenses, they were met with a terrifying sight: a massive alien war machine, a towering behemoth of metal and energy that loomed over the battlefield. It was a last-ditch effort by the Council's forces to stop the resistance in its tracks. For a moment, the human fighters faltered. The war machine was unlike anything they had ever faced, a mechanical monster that seemed invincible. But Elena refused to back down. She rallied her fighters, urging them to press the attack. "Remember what we're fighting for," she shouted above the roar of battle. "This is our home. We don't back down. Not now, not ever." Her words reignited the fire in her fighters' hearts, and they charged the war machine with renewed vigor. The battle was fierce and costly, with many lives lost, but in the end, the human spirit prevailed. The war machine was brought down, its smoking wreckage a testament to the resilience of the resistance. With the destruction of the alien command post, the Council's forces in New York were thrown into disarray. The resistance fighters pressed their advantage, driving the enemy from the city in a series of swift, coordinated strikes. By the time the sun set on that fateful day, New York City was once again under human control. But there was little time to celebrate. The war was far from over, and Elena knew that the fight for Earth would only grow more intense in the days to come. But as she stood amid the ruins of the battlefield, surrounded by her fellow fighters, she felt a surge of hope. They had won a great victory, and they had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. The resistance had risen, and they were ready to take the fight to the enemy. The tide turns. The victory at New York City was a significant morale booster for humanity, but it was only one battle in an ongoing war that spanned the globe. With their command post destroyed and their forces reeling from the defeat, the Galactic Council's invasion seemed momentarily stalled. General Marcus Hale seized this opportunity to rally Earth's scattered defenses and launch a series of coordinated counterattacks. The coalition's strategic efforts were further enhanced by the intelligence gathered by the resistance cells. The data obtained from the New York assault revealed critical vulnerabilities in the Council's supply lines and command structure. Hale, with the aid of his top strategists, formulated a bold plan to exploit these weaknesses. The plan called for a multi-pronged offensive, targeting key alien supply hubs, communication relays, and outlying command posts. The goal was to disrupt the Council's logistical network, cripple their operational capacity, and create a cascading effect of chaos that would cripple their war effort. As the offensive commenced, resistance fighters and military units executed precision strikes across multiple fronts. The global coordination was a testament to humanity's newfound unity, with forces from every corner of the world working together with a single purpose. The aliens, caught off guard by the ferocity and precision of the attacks, struggled to maintain control. One of the most critical targets was a massive alien logistics hub located in the deserts of North Africa. This facility was responsible for storing and distributing supplies to the alien forces across the planet. A successful strike on this hub would severely impact the Council's ability to sustain their invasion. Captain Sarah Walker, who had become a celebrated figure for her role in the earlier sabotage mission, was assigned to lead a special operation to infiltrate and destroy the hub. Her team, equipped with the latest experimental stealth technology, was tasked with penetrating the facility's defenses and planting explosives that would render the hub inoperable. The operation was meticulously planned, with Walker and her team using a combination of deception and stealth to bypass the aliens' advanced security systems. The desert night provided cover as they approached the facility, their movements synchronized with the precision of a well-oiled machine. They breached the outer perimeter and made their way into the heart of the logistics hub, where the supply caches and critical infrastructure were located. As they planted the explosives, Walker's team encountered unexpected resistance. The aliens, having learned from previous encounters, had fortified their defenses and stationed elite guards within the facility. A fierce firefight erupted, with Walker and her team fighting against overwhelming odds. The battle was intense, with alien troops utilizing advanced weaponry and tactics to try and neutralize the human intruders. Despite the odds, Walker's team pushed through, their determination and combat prowess proving to be a decisive advantage. They completed their mission, setting the final charges just as the alien forces began to mount a counterattack. The team made a daring escape, narrowly evading capture, as the facility erupted in a massive explosion. The destruction of the logistics hub was a significant blow to the Galactic Council's invasion efforts. Supply lines were disrupted, and the alien forces found themselves struggling to maintain their operations. The ripple effect of the attack created a sense of vulnerability among the Council's troops, who began to question the viability of their mission. Amidst the chaos, General Hale and his command team continued to press their advantage. They coordinated with resistance cells around the world, launching further offensives to capitalize on the Council's disarray. The tide of the war began to turn, with humanity gaining the upper hand in several key engagements. But the victory was not without its costs. The battles had taken a heavy toll on both military personnel and civilians. Cities lay in ruins, and the human cost of the conflict was evident. Yet, despite the sacrifices, the resolve of the human spirit remained unshaken. People continued to fight, driven by a deep sense of purpose and the desire to reclaim their world. As the war continued, a surprising development occurred. The Council's leadership, frustrated by the unexpected resistance and mounting losses, began to debate their approach. Some factions within the Council advocated for a strategic withdrawal, arguing that the cost of the invasion outweighed the benefits. Others, however, were determined to press on, believing that victory was still achievable. The internal strife within the Galactic Council created opportunities for diplomatic maneuvers. Earth's diplomats, led by a charismatic negotiator named Dr. Amelia Carter, sought to exploit the Council's divisions. Dr. Carter was a skilled diplomat with a background in interstellar relations. She had been working behind the scenes to open lines of communication with sympathetic factions within the Council. Dr. Carter's efforts culminated in a high-stakes negotiation with one of the Council's more progressive members, who was open to exploring a peace settlement. The talks were tense, fraught with the complexities of interstellar diplomacy and the weight of the ongoing conflict. but the possibility of a negotiated resolution provided a glimmer of hope for both sides. The balance of power had shifted, and the once unyielding Galactic Council was now faced with the prospect of a negotiated settlement. The outcome of the negotiations would determine the future of the conflict and the fate of Earth. As the talks progressed, the human forces on the ground continued to push forward, their resolve undiminished and their eyes set on victory. The tide had turned, and humanity stood on the brink of a new chapter in their history, a chapter that would determine not only their survival, but their place in the galaxy. The final confrontation. The negotiations between Earth's diplomats and the Galactic Council reached a critical juncture. The internal divisions within the Council had given Earth an unexpected advantage, but the outcome remained uncertain. Dr. Amelia Carter, with her diplomatic finesse, continued to negotiate with the Council's progressive factions, striving to reach a resolution that would end the conflict. On the battlefield, General Marcus Hale and his forces capitalized on the momentum gained from their recent victories. The coalition's offensives had pushed the alien forces back, reclaiming lost territories and putting pressure on the remaining Council troops. The destruction of key supply hubs and command centers had crippled the Council's ability to sustain their invasion, creating an opportunity for Earth to turn the tide decisively. As the fighting intensified, General Hale faced a pivotal decision. The Council's military leadership had consolidated their remaining forces in a final stronghold, a heavily fortified command ship orbiting Earth. This ship, known as the Echelon, was the last bastion of the Council's invasion fleet and contained their most advanced weaponry and leadership. A successful assault on the Echelon would not only cripple the alien military's capabilities, but also force the Council to reconsider their stance on peace. Meanwhile, in the midst of the chaos, Captain Sarah Walker and her team were tasked with a new mission: to infiltrate the Echelon and disable its primary weapon systems. This would be the most dangerous mission yet, but it was crucial to ensuring the success of the coalition's final push. As Walker and her team prepared for the assault, they were met by an unexpected ally, a defected alien officer named Krellis, who had grown disillusioned with the Council's leadership. Krellis had been a high-ranking member of the Council's forces, but his experiences on the battlefield had led him to question the morality of their mission. Offering his knowledge of the Echelon's layout and security systems, he provided invaluable assistance to Walker's team. The infiltration of the Echelon was a masterclass in precision and stealth. Walker's team, equipped with Krellis's insider information and cutting-edge technology, managed to bypass the ship's defenses and reach the heart of its command center. As they worked to disable the weapon systems, they encountered fierce resistance from the ship's elite guards. The battle was intense, with the fate of the entire conflict hanging in the balance. In the midst of the fighting, Krellis revealed a crucial piece of information. The Echelon was not only the hub of the Council's military operations, but also a key political stronghold. The Council's leaders, who had been orchestrating the invasion, were aboard the ship, and their capture or elimination would have a profound impact on the negotiations for peace. Realizing the importance of this revelation, Walker adjusted her team's objectives. They fought their way to the command center, where they faced off against the Council's top leaders. The confrontation was fierce and emotionally charged, with Walker and her team battling not only for their lives, but for the future of Earth. As the final battle unfolded, General Hale coordinated a massive assault on the Echelon from Earth's orbital defenses. The Coalition's forces launched a coordinated attack, targeting the ship's vulnerable points and creating a diversion that allowed Walker's team to press forward. The combined efforts of the ground assault and the orbital attack caused chaos aboard the Echelon, further weakening the Council's grip. In the heart of the command center, Walker faced off against the Council's most powerful leader, High Chancellor Zelko. The confrontation was a brutal clash of wills and combat skills, with Walker demonstrating the full measure of human resilience and determination. Despite the overwhelming odds, she managed to overcome Zelkor and secure a decisive victory for Earth. With the Echelon's weapon systems disabled and its command structure in disarray, the Council's remaining forces were forced to surrender. The capture of the Council's leaders, combined with the Coalition's military successes, led to a significant turning point in the conflict. The Council, faced with the prospect of continued resistance and mounting losses, was compelled to agree to a ceasefire. The peace negotiations, now backed by the overwhelming evidence of Earth's resolve and the Council's weakened position, resulted in a historic agreement. The terms of the treaty were complex and multifaceted, addressing both the immediate cessation of hostilities and the long-term integration of Earth into the galactic community. The agreement included provisions for reparations, technological exchange, and the establishment of diplomatic channels to prevent future conflicts. As the war came to an end, Earth began the process of rebuilding and recovery. The scars of the conflict were evident, but the spirit of humanity shone through. Cities were reconstructed, communities were reunited, and the world worked together to heal from the wounds of war. The experience had forged a new unity among nations and a renewed sense of purpose. General Marcus Hale and Captain Sarah Walker became symbols of humanity's resilience and bravery. Their leadership and sacrifice had played a crucial role in securing Earth's future. Their story was celebrated across the globe, and their legacy became a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Dr. Amelia Carter's diplomatic efforts were also recognized, as she played a key role in shaping the new era of interstellar relations. Their success in negotiating peace marked the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, a chapter defined by cooperation and mutual respect with the galaxy's diverse inhabitants. In the end, Earth had not only survived but had emerged stronger and more united than ever before. The Galactic Council had learned a valuable lesson about the tenacity and determination of humanity. The galaxy would never be the same, as the events of the conflict reshaped the balance of power and paved the way for a new era of exploration and collaboration. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and had triumphed, proving that when pushed to the brink, they were not just survivors, they were champions. And thus concluded the epic saga of humanity's struggle against overwhelming odds and their ultimate victory, a story that would be remembered as a testament to the strength, courage, and indomitable spirit of the human race.